Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today on the Aries full moon to talk about the astrology transits coming up for influencing the next 2 weeks and what is actually a culmination of what's been going on since the new moon in Aries in April. Today is technically October 20th, 2021 here in the Pacific time zone. And this full moon is extremely tense. Aries is ruled by Mars, what is known as the planet of war, the planet of aggression, the planet of blunt, sort of edgy energy. And on the flip side of that, Mars also rules courage, the deeper truth, a pioneering spirit. It's really your greatest loyal ally in challenging situations. And Mars is making a square tense aspect to Pluto up in Capricorn. And Mars is in Libra right now. This full moon is an opposition of the sun in Libra to the moon in Aries. So what we have is this theme of war and diplomacy, of tearing down old structures, that's Pluto, and rewriting them. And I feel like I'm here today to tell you that a lot of people who may be walking more of an unconscious life is happening at them can be very angry and very unsettled and very reactionary. That's the thing. And for those of you that tend to watch content like this, that are endeavoring an evolution in your own consciousness, this is an opportunity for you to dig deeper into what you want to manifest and ask yourself 2 big questions. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? And do I want to be heard, or do I just want to vent? I think these are 2 big themes of this particular full moon, because in the transformation of those questions, when you ask yourself this, you become the higher vibration of the planets that seem so scary right now. Pluto, representing death and decay, also represents the phoenix rising from that death and being transformed in a way of big illumination, which brings a lot back to the community and to humanity in general. And Mars, in its transformational way, brings a deeper truth. And I think sometimes we focus a little bit on the negativity of these things. So as you're experiencing this next couple of weeks, because until we have the new moon, I believe it's November 4th in Scorpio, this energy is going to be very powerful. And I think it's going to be very powerful and seen out in the media and in people's behavior out in the world. So do your best to take a breath, because the triggers are going to be, it kind of feels like no matter how conscious you are, there's still the trigger is going to be huge. So it's going to be that moment where you get triggered and then you have a moment of consciousness. I almost want to give you a little bit of a trick to use for the next couple of weeks. Sometimes I have have people wear a hair tie or a colored rubber band around their wrist, so that when they're walking through a tense energy or a tense situation, they remember what their intention is. And the theme of this Aries full moon is, do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Because it's not about not being right. It's about how you're expressing yourself and allowing the other party to express themselves. This is the Libra influence. This is Mars in Libra in conjunction, sitting next to the sun. This is very powerful because the sun rules the whole zodiac. And the sun is like the king, and Mars is like the general or the admiral or the, I don't know all those high-ranking military. And now it's time to have cool heads versus the unconsciousness that sometimes Mars can perpetrate, okay, when it gets too worked up. And this is in opposition to the moon, which is in Aries. And this is really asking, what's your deeper intention? Moon represents our emotional body. It represents our intuitive body. So what do you really want from that level? And as you express yourself with the diplomacy of, and I almost want to say courtesy that people may not always expect, is this, it's like an invitation to create a win-win. So there's a lot of crazy energy with this, but there's so much transformational energy that can truly set an intention and a new vibrational platform with which to walk through the future years and months. So, and I also want to say this because Mars is in a trine to Jupiter. Jupiter represents higher education. It represents faith. It represents the who am I, what am I questions of the world. It represents, high education, master's degrees, PhDs. And I feel like this is really, this trine between Mars is where this win-win comes in. Am I expressing myself in a way that is palatable for the other person to actually take my truth? Because sometimes Mars doesn't think that. So no matter what sign you are, this is the influence that's going on with this full moon, is sort of wrapping up this way of interacting with others, the Libra partnership dynamic, and finding a way of creating diplomacy so that you can be heard from the other side, which then creates a harmony and a more willingness to work in cooperation and compromise. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each one of the signs. And this is where I differ very much from other astrologers, because I believe that you should look at your rising sign because it represents the first house of self. How do I view the world? What is my perception? How do I walk through? It's my lens. The moon, I think, is almost as important because it's almost like they braided together, because the moon rules my emotional body. And the emotional body really dictates how I get up. If I wake up in a bad mood, I get in my car in a bad mood, I'm kind of a jerk in traffic, etc., etc. So look at your moon sign, because it'll give you an idea of where is Aries, where is that in your chart, first house, third house, 10th house. We're going to go through this in a minute. And then finally, your sun. The sun is how people see you in the world. So these are considered the three personal big planets. If you look at all of them together, you get a more personal picture of what's happening for you. So I'm a Libra. I just had my birthday last Sunday, and I'm an Aries rising. So this is very powerful for my personal life. I also have Mars in a very close conversation with the sun in my natal chart. So this is doubly powerful for me. It's triggering my Mars connection. And then I am a Taurus moon. So I filter things from that dynamic, Libra, Aries, Taurus. So here we're going to start with Aries, and I'm going to work my way towards Pisces. And I'm going to talk about what house, what is the landscape, what environment in your life will this be happening? So when we start, and I'm going to do one Kyle Gray card for each sign. I don't know why I was just pulled to do it this way. I like to change things up a lot. I get a little, I don't like things to be this static, I guess. So I want to say Aries, rising moon, sun. And if you have a stellium, which is 3 or more planets in the house of Aries, this is going to be very powerful. It indicates a focus for your life path. So the first house represents the self. Again, how do I perceive the world? How do I walk through the world? The Aries walks through the world rather courageously and sometimes taking no prisoners. So this is going to be about how do you create diplomacy as you speak your truth? How do you create not a dumbing down of who you are, but an invitation to others to be who they are? And I know sometimes people take longer to process, and Aries can be impatient with that. But I think part of it is sometimes people, when an Aries is communicating, they can feel the impatience. So they almost stutter more and take longer to express themselves because they feel the tension of your impatience. I bring this up because Libra, that's where the sun is. Full moon is this opposition between the moon and the sun in the same degree. And so there's this huge dynamic of how you interact with others. It's this huge focus in on the culmination of sort of just blurting out and wanting to make things happen, but not engaging others to be rowing in the same direction, which ultimately leads Aries to frustration, which then leads them to more anger. So this is about balance. And this is why Aries and Libra rule this opposing, how do I want to phrase it? Because there's accesses throughout the zodiac, and this is their access. And I think of it like warrior pose, because in yoga, the further you get out and the more opposition you have, the more balance you actually have. So let's see what one card is here for Aries to help them focus in on how they express themselves. And through this time of feeling very cranky and a little impatient and being very aware of the disruption, because it is huge right now. Pluto's in the mix. Pluto is going to really transform something, and it may appear to be like a metaphoric death. It could be a physical death, but more than likely, this is a crisis energy when Mars and Pluto are in square. And it's very reactionary versus choosing an action. Mars represents willpower and assertion, and Pluto represents psychology and digging deeper to the deeper and deeper truths. So they both co-rule Scorpio. So they are in cooperation, but in a bit of a way. All right, Aries. The traveler, move in a new direction. I very much think this is awesome, because this moving in a new direction is not about actually changing, going from north to south or from east to west. This traveler is very light, and she has this sort of smile and inner knowing. There's a wisdom in her face, and there's this compass. I spoke during this introduction about how Aries rules is pioneering in spirit. It goes into places no one has been, has courage. And when I look at the traveler here, I think she's saying, this is really starting to think in a bigger picture, starting to gain the cooperation of others in your vision. So where in the past you may have been so clear that you sort of hopped and skipped over other people as they processed your vision or your opinion or your actions, now is an opportunity through your willingness to take a minute, moving in a new direction, meaning your perception. Aries rules the first house of self. Is it more important for you to be right in the situation, or is it more important for you to be happy? Because by taking a minute and a pause to see how your behavior is landing on another, you'll end up being happier. And this will then lead us into those questions where we look at, how am I communicating? Am I communicating in a way that leaves an open space for another person to communicate? The reason I'm focusing, we're not talking about Gemini right now, which is communications, but what is partnership? Partnership is all about communications. It's all about my willingness not to punish or to villainize somebody when I don't agree with them. And Mars energy could feel a little bit like that. I mean, it could feel very aggressive. I don't agree with you, so I'm going to get really in your face about it. Is that going to serve your bigger picture? Is it going to bring this sense of calm and inner wisdom to you? It's about taking a minute to breathe, because the trine between Mars and Jupiter gives you an opportunity to truly be a teacher of wisdom through your ability to be self-aware, and rather than holding your breath when the other person tries to communicate, you understand your power. And so knowing how strongly it's coming across, they can see you know it, so you can calm it in a place that invites them in. This is truly transformational for Aries, to come to this place of this full moon and this realization of your own power, your own energy, and how it lands on others. And truly an opportunity to move into a space that that moves your life in a new direction, because you start finding people more willing to work with you than just be annoyed at you and not want you to succeed because they don't like how you show up. Okay, let's go on to Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. This is going to be in your 12th house. This full moon in Aries. Aries is your 12th house. The 12th house rules the space behind the self, what you don't necessarily see in the light of day. It rules bedrooms, it rules spas, it rules hospitals and prisons, research, places where people are by themselves in isolation. It rules past lives. It's very, and ancestors. It's very spiritual house. And so this is going to be about how you assert yourself in the ways that maybe are most personal to you. And I almost feel like, as I look at this, as I feel the energy for Taurus, I feel like it's the little girl or little boy that is in their bedroom singing with their brush, and how they feel like they're a star when they're by themselves, but maybe when they're out in the public, they sort of tuck in and feel a little bit shyer. And maybe this is an opportunity for Taurus to really evaluate the permissions that you give yourself to assert an Aryan energy, which is to be pioneering and courageous to your own wants and desires. Let's see what Kyle Gray card comes up for you. Again, I want to bring up this idea that there is a square between Mars and Pluto. And right now, Taurus is, it's a beautiful sign of represented by Venus, so it represents luxury and beauty and cozy things. It also naturally rules the second house of the voice and of skills. And with this full moon, somehow I'm getting the feeling that Taurus has skills that are hidden. And this is a time to be courageous somehow in allowing your dreams to come true. What do we do when we sleep? We dream. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Oh, well, there we go. Magic Guardian, unlock the magic within. Well, hello. I love how Spirit does that. So Taurus, this is really an opportunity for you to take a moment to reflect how you're allowing your passion and your fire. Aries rules fire. It rules passion. It rules the courage to go into, out onto the plains where they've never been and discover. I think this is really important for you to start to look at, maybe Pluto is saying that you have been a little bit getting in your own way, that the way you've been imagining other people will respond to you has held you back, hence what's behind you. So now, as we have this full moon in Aries in your 12th house of ancestors, because I want to offer it this way, there could be the potential that you have been holding back talents that you have and magic within you for lifetime after lifetime. And now is an opportunity to really close that chapter and then move forward and unlocking that a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be these big, scary leaps. A little baby step here or there can be very transformational. And the first baby step may be allowing the trine between Jupiter, the planet of what do I believe, and Mars, the planet of deep truth. Mars and Pluto both rule a deeper truth. Pluto trumps Mars in that respect, because Mars is so busy racing through the zodiac that it doesn't get quite as deep as Pluto does. But this is an opportunity to see how you may be co-creating your own blocks or your own stagnation because of your belief in yourself and your talent. All right, let's go on to our Gemini. Gemini rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. This is going to be in your 11th house. The 11th house by nature is ruled by Aquarius. So it rules outer space, it rules technology, it rules networks like the internet, social media, our networks of friends, and the people we hang out with. It also rules our hopes and our dreams. And for you, this is Aries, that house. So this is about having courage to go towards your dreams, to see how you land, because Aries by nature is like, are you at war with your own dreams? Because the Gemini going back and forth in thought, can I, can't I? So let's see what Spirit has to say. Your Kyle Gray card is Mother Earth. Feel loved and comforted. So this is what I want to say for my Geminis, because as I see this card, I'll just hold it up for a minute. I feel like with Gemini, this Aries being your 11th house is asking you not to declare to your network and friends what your hopes and dreams are, but to know that the network in the sky, that your team of heavenly hosts, that those that watch over you from both this side and the other want you to feel loved and comfort, and that your dreams are extremely, they've been gestating and they're ready in many ways to be birthed. And part of your job, Gemini, is to be relaxed about it. See the crescent moon over her third eye and the grapes that surround her ears. It's a time to only think in abundance for you and to have the courage to do that. So let me be a little bit more clear how I'm seeing this. Gemini rules the twins. So by nature, you might go back and forth in your thought process. Now we have this dynamic of this full moon, having something come to culmination. The beginning of this week, your ruling planet Mercury was retrograde, went direct on the same day as Jupiter, the planet of faith. What do I believe? The who am I? The how do I show up? And by, what is my value? What does it all mean? Are we just specks of, dust in the wind kind of thing? That is what's going on right now. This trine, this re-examination of what do I really believe? Now, this is where the Aries full moon allows you or offers you a landscape of courage to believe deeper than your experiences may have dictated or indicated right now. And what Spirit wants you to do is feel the abundance and the ability to create that Mother Earth represents here, and to feel loved and comforted as Pluto and Mars's square creates some sort of crisis that actually will probably serve you in a bigger way, but not in your initial perception of it. It may feel like the culmination or the ending of something. Full moons represent endings, but every ending is a new beginning. And now you are being charged with the courage to actually think in a way that is bigger than you have thought of before, to broaden your world a little bit. In fact, I even want to say that the internet may be the key to some of this right now in this transitional phase, the ability to communicate through the internet or to assert yourself out through the internet. Mars is about action and willpower, and Pluto is a psychological planet, really digging deep into my motivations and my deeper truth of what I'm acting on. So having this be in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, I feel like this is a very important time to have the courage to know your dreams and your hopes are more than alive. They're ready to be birthed. And part of your opportunity during this time is to utilize all of your networks and your social dynamics and to re-examine some of your friends potentially. And if there's an ending to some friendships, or some what appears to be the ending of some relationships, I think it's important for Gemini to think about how you're showing up in that transition, because it may not be as over as you think it is. And if it doesn't serve your highest and greatest good, it will move out of your life experience. But if it's meant to reveal a part of your character that's integral to the relationship or to the network, it will do so. And if you're aware and you're paying attention and being courageous, then this Aries energy will help you connect at a deeper level versus severing it. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. Aries is your 10th house. Let's see, 10th house is the highest point in the chart. It rules the career. It rules the public eye. naturally ruled by Capricorn. Let's see what this full moon has to do for you. All right. We have the Lord. Take charge with authority. And if you look at it, we see the ram's horns. We see the crown of antlers, and we see the ram's horns. So I want to offer this for my Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The moon is always going to be powerful in every aspect for you because you're ruled by the moon. And now the moon is in Aries. So this is about having courage as it's in opposition to Libra. This is interesting because this all really kind of squares you as well in that 10th house. There's this natural square that always happens between Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra. So rather than thinking of it as a tense conversation, because Cancer is always going to consider the nurturing of their family. You rule home and hearth. And in some respects, this may have a little bit to do with looking at whether or not the family dynamic is serving you. Is it really as warm and fuzzy as a Hallmark movie would want you to be, or is it more like some crazy Lifetime movie? And now it's time to take charge of your own life and kind of put yourself first. Aries puts itself first, but it really isn't in a selfish way. It's in a balancing way. This is the sun in Libra in conjunction with Mars. This is a really, this is an opportunity for Cancer to experience a crisis of some kind, but to actually bring in a lot more balance in your life in general. So the crisis feels more like it's about how you used to have been or how you're used to perceiving something, and then that changes. All of a sudden your perception becomes more brave, courageous, Aries, and then you realize that the universe has got a much bigger picture going on. And when you take charge with authority, it's your authority of your perception, how you're seeing yourself. And I want to say it this way, because if the 10th house is doing something with your career, there may be something that happens, you know, in the public eye, or how you're perceived in your community or within your group of friends, because not everybody who's a Cancer is in the public eye. So it's going to be the public eye of your personal life. And I think that this is an opportunity for you. While people may not agree with your initial actions, they may in the long run really be appreciative of them. And this is about you being able to, there's some interesting dynamic between feeling like this has to do with the inner tribe, and then the inner tribe is arguing with me or disagreeing with me or thinking something, or I find out something that's hidden. I, as a Cancer, find out something I didn't know before, and I have to take action in a courageous way about it. And sometimes that action isn't always physical action towards it, but shifting a perception of myself before I take those actions. Full moon is a culmination of something. It's where, you know, there's the very high potential of information coming to the surface that hadn't been there before. And even if you think you knew about something, it may be even more than you had realized it was. So this is a little bit about asserting yourself in a way, Cancer, that realizes that taking care of the self is actually nurturing home and hearth. It's actually nurturing the people that you love. Because sometimes you, in considering everybody within the home and hearth, the energy gets muddled. And then we kind of do the crab crawl because we want to try to make everybody happy. And in doing so, we don't make anybody happy. Okay, let's go on to our Leos. Leo, Aries is your 9th house. 9th house naturally rules beliefs. This is Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The 9th house also rules travel, foreign things, higher education. Let's see how this is going to play out. How is this going to be? Oh, okay. So the first hit I get is Aries. There may be a situation where your inner knowing, because the ninth house also rules the connection to the angelic realm. So here we have the full moon happening in your ninth house of beliefs, squaring Capricorn and Libra. This is going to be very much about not being a know-it-all. No offense, God love you, Leo, but you're ruled by the sun, so you rule the zodiac, and you may have to take a step back and not be reactionary in what appears to be, again, obvious to you. There's such a reactionary energy going on right now. Each sign has to be mindful of it, because whatever you know at a deep level, there's having to exercise some sort of patience while the other side catches up with you or has an opportunity to express themselves. This may sound repetitive, but there's certain repetitive themes about an Aries full moon. There's going to be an assertion and an aggression and an impatience to it, and sometimes a reactionary thing. So when we're talking about this ninth house, I want to offer this. When you're traveling around, if you're traveling and you find yourself annoyed by the rules and regulations and restrictions of the various dynamics, really take a breath. Don't be that person that gets caught on the airplane beating up the stewardess. I say that laughing, and I shouldn't laugh, but I kind of think that there's a lot of really challenging energy right now. And I would just say that because forewarned is forearmed. So here we have for Leo, we have the autumn. Release the old and rest. And I want to offer it this way. We're literally sitting, it's October 20th, 2021 today. We're at a full moon in Aries in opposition. The moon is in opposition to the sun in Libra. So I really think for my Leos, this is an opportunity for you to sit in an energy of leadership by not leading, by having that inner knowing, having that ninth house belief and faith, and being aware of how you land on others. I started this broadcast feeling like this full moon had the energy of, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And this way of communicating that allows for a flow of, do I want to be heard? And if I want to be heard, am I listening? So I think this is very much coming to play with Leo, because if you roar too loud, you're going to put people around you in a state of feeling frustrated. And that could be where we start a little bit of arguments. Or people not telling you something because they feel like if they tell you, they're banging their head against a wall because you know it all. It's a very big challenging energy right now for Leo rising. So this is an opportunity to truly show leadership by harvesting. I also want to say that about autumn time, harvesting what started in the month of Aries, because that Aries new moon would have started this process. And at the same time, there were all these planets, Saturn and Pluto was going retrograde, Saturn went retrograde, Jupiter went retrograde, and Mercury ultimately as well. So all these planets are now moving forward in your house of the ninth house of foreign travel, of foreign beliefs. It's about opening up an opportunity to see that true leadership is not about telling somebody what to do, but by showing by example, maybe, and being aware of what any square, okay, is going to create a tense conversation, but it also has an opportunity to create a strong foundation. So I kind of want to go there with Leo. And I really kind of want to say too, that there's this, energy of the resting idea is not about like sitting down on the couch. It feels like it's that release of responsibility. The true resting of, you know what, I've done all I can right now, and now I just have to leave it where it is and be open-minded as the other side processes. Because everybody processes different. And for those that process quickly and come to conclusions quickly, having to, during an Aries full moon, having to slow down while other people catch up can be very frustrating because you just want to get on with it. All right, let's go on to our Virgos. This is going to be in your 8th house. Well, the 8th house naturally rules transformation. It rules sex and intimacy, things that actions in the bedroom. It rules death and taxes, other people's money, insurances. It rules occupations like stockbrokers, you know, and insurance agents and things like that. All right, so let's see what Spirit has to say for you to transit this full moon. All right, summer. This is the B card. And it says under, well, I call it the B card, it's summer card, but the B is very prevalent. And we have bask in joy and light. And it's funny because you would think the bee would come out with a springtime energy, you know, pollinating all the flowers. I think this is about a being energy. So Virgo, in your 8th house of Aries, how can you be courageous in allowing a certain being energy to die and allow it to be transformed to something else? Let me offer it this way. Virgo, have you felt obligated to a certain way of being? Do you feel at all enslaved to something that no longer serves you? And now this is not necessarily about taking action, but about allowing the process to come to a conclusion. And if it needs to sit and lie, allowing yourself the being energy to start to project how it would feel once this situation has culminated. There is this, in a full moon, we have an energy of endings. The square between Pluto and Mars is going to create a willpower and a psychological dynamic. And really, the psychological dynamic is being sick of being enslaved to something, being sick of having to acquiesce to a certain way of thinking that doesn't serve us. And because Virgo rules service, you may have inadvertently aligned to a way of thinking that provided service to another that is no longer applicable, no longer valuable, no longer moving everybody's story forward. Because there's a crisis energy to this full moon, and it's going to bring a culmination of something. And I feel like the summer card is asking you to look beyond the crisis and look what happens when the phoenix rises from the crisis. That's what Pluto represents. And to look at your being energy. Is my attitude, my belief, my dynamic? This is the trine, the harmonious aspect between Jupiter, the planet of faith and belief, and the planet of action and aggression and assertion, Mars, and deeper truth. Is my belief aligned to what will bring me happiness? And start to move from there. Because when I say start to move from there, I mean it in such a way where the movement comes from the musings, the allowing myself almost on a psychological Plutonian level to go to the deeper truth of my happiness and to align to that. Just as an example, I've been single for a long time. And while the rest of the world likes to commingle and be partnered, as a Libra, I'm not hardwired that way. And there's a part of me that could go into the idea of, oh, that's not really good, but you know, it's really good for me. And so am I open to partnership at some point? Yes, but do I know how important my own independence will be within that partnership? Absolutely. And that's the deeper truth. So Virgo, that's what I'm talking about with you. It is not about lacking cooperation or working with others because the sun is in Libra and it's conjunct Mars. It's about how can we create a win-win for you and for the other party. All right, let's go on to our Libra rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday today, or happy Libra birthdays, period. We know this is happening in your 7th house of partnerships. This is for Libra rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, you got the heart guardian. And it says, love and let yourself be loved. I think this is super important because Libra is a sign of cooperation. Libra is a sign of harmony, of balance, of compromise, of contracts, of marriage, of partnerships in general. It's also the sign of diplomacy, of fairness, and in some ways of justice, the judicial system. And here we have this full moon happening. And I feel like your heart, Libra, also gets to express itself. And the shadow side of Libra is that it doesn't want to confront things. So it actually diminishes its heart in its cooperation. It acquiesces its wants and needs to the other party. And Aries is the natural sign of courage and truth. And I feel like this is an opportunity for you to express yourself without getting angry and explosive and maybe even a little bit volatile or controlling in your passive aggressiveness. That's on the lower side. I'm a Libra sun, so I'm not trying to bag Libra, but Pluto is very passive. Pluto is controlling by nature. And here we have this idea of Libra wanting to connect to the deeper truth of their heart and to allow that to be important. This energy, this guardian has this huge heart medallion. And at the same time, the colors are very Aryan. They're red, they're passion. Orange is my sacral chakra. I feel like the flowers above her head are about allowing herself to, serenely, in some ways, feel her heart at a deeper and deeper and deeper level. So Libra, I would imagine that when you imagine your heart, it's in direct relation to how your partner will respond to it. And I feel like this is where the full moon can culminate something, because if you didn't watch the beginning of this video, please go back and do so, because the weather of the astrology weather is what you're going to be walking through. And the main thing is to be able to ask this question: am I expressing myself in a way that's supporting my deepest desires? And aggressively isn't good, but too passively isn't good either. So this is where I think the Libra Aries axis is most powerful for you, because sometimes it helps to start off saying to somebody, I really love you. And now I might have to say a deeper truth that neither one of us have wanted to talk about. So this is super important, because Jupiter is supporting your balanced expression. Mars is saying, do you want to take action, and having the courage to take it on a deeper faith. So when you express yourself, when you're expressing yourself through your loving heart, it doesn't mean something has to be detonated. It could actually take it to the next level. And you may find more cooperation in your expression than you thought you would. The other person, the other party, the other dynamic may have been feeling something similar and had the same trepidation about addressing it. And now we find ourselves working in cooperation in our opposition. And now we can move on to a new chapter. Very important to connect first with the deepest truth of your heart. And again, I want to really encourage Libra to take a minute, because your initial reaction will be to boomerang back to how the reaction will be, or how the pattern has been between the two parties. And we need to give that a minute so that I can dig a little deeper and then walk through it. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios. This Aries full moon is going to be in your 6th house of service, of work, of sometimes it's known as enslavement, because we are indentured to our jobs. So let's see what is culminating for you there. Your 2 ruling planets are highly involved in this full moon. Your ancient ruler is Mars, and your modern ruler is Pluto. Pluto has, on the face of this little planet, is a 600-mile ice heart. And I always kind of think of it as, sometimes it's not about being cold-hearted, but having to dig down to my deeper truth, and then maybe not really investing in as much what other people think about that truth as it is important to me, because sometimes we have to have people have to catch up with us, and we have to be pioneering enough and Aryan energy enough to push towards that, and then they'll figure it out later. Because Scorpio, if for some reason in the house of service, in the house of work, in the house of I serve, you are not being authentic, there's a crisis coming. It's also the house of health and of how you're treating your body. All right, we have the snake. Shed an old skin. This is actually a very healing energy, because if you look at it, the tail is pointing downward towards our history, and the head is coming up towards the north, towards our true north. This kind of right now reminds me of the nodal axis, the north and south node, Ketu and Rahu. And in some ways, I think that there's going to be this energy of being egoless in trusting your ego. It's going to sound a little weird. I just got done saying there's a cold heart. All right, so let me go back with Scorpio. This is the house of service, the house of enslavement. What is your deeper truth about what you do and how you express yourself in your profession, in your work? How are you taking care of your body? Are you kind of, underground a little bit about some things? Are you feeling slightly depressed? Because if indeed you are, it's okay. And it's not about trying to change it. It's more about kind of digging deeper. What do I really, really want? If I'm going to be of service to the world, if this house represents how I serve, am I serving in a way that actually makes me happy? Because Jupiter is making a trine to Mars. And Mars is asking you in some ways to take action, but I believe this is first of all about shedding a skin, shedding a skin of belief about yourself, because Jupiter rules beliefs. And if this energy is causing you to feel, I'm doing this, I have to do this, this is what's expected of me. Or if for some reason you have experienced a health crisis, and you're being steered in one direction and your gut instinct is telling you, no, 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 don't go there. Give it a minute for the universe to confirm through signs, omens, and information that will come through that will allow you to find a healing that's more aligned to your truth. I'm really into natural medicine. I prefer it. I prefer to use ginger tea versus, to reduce inflammation versus some other products that are available. So I feel like for my Scorpios, there's coming some culmination of where you've been enslaved to a dynamic with your body, your health, or within your job or your service out to the outside world. And now it's time to allow yourself to dig a little bit deeper into your belief system and then grab your power back. And in doing so, you're going to be a bit of a pioneer. And yet I feel like, well, we're walking into some very challenging times. And if this has anything to do with any sort of vaccination situation with work, because this could very easily be where Scorpio is being told there's a mandate of some kind, and they don't want to do that. So really allow yourself to dig deeper and don't be pushed around. All right, let's go on to our Sagittariuses. Aries is your fifth house of children, of romance, self-expression, of hobbies, fun, and entertainment. Let's see what's happening here for you. All right, the Earth Guardian, stay rooted and grounded. All right, Sagittarius, as we go into your fifth house, this is a moment where I feel as if when I look at this particular card and I look at the full moon energy, it's crisis energy, it's anger energy, it's You know, some unconscious people may act very poorly during the next, especially the next 2 weeks before the next new moon. And as the Saturn-Uranus square creeps up on us towards the end of December, this energy is going to get stronger and stronger. So I feel like for my Sagittarius, Jupiter, your ruling planet, is having a trine, a harmonious aspect with Mars, the planet of action, courage, and truth as well. And I feel like you're going to have to stay rooted in your beliefs. And if for some reason this means putting yourself on some sort of like, okay, I'm just going to do things that I enjoy. I'm not going to pay attention to all the craziness out there in the world. I'm going to, you know, do a puzzle. I'm going to, you know, have game night. Do it. Allow yourself that privilege, because I think that will be very transformational energy. Very important to be sort of not buying into the swirl of the world. And as it gets more kookalicious is the way I want to put it. I guess for Sagittarius, I feel like, you know, when you say, I don't want to trivialize it like, oh, forget the world's troubles and let's just play games and be happy. But sometimes that energy is truly transformational. Spirit has shown me oftentimes when I'm focused on a problem, I'm actually feeding the problem. And when I can't find the solution to the problem, where's the in-between place? It's finding somewhere where I'm not worrying and I'm not projecting. And sometimes hobbies help us do that. Sometimes entertainment and just kind of enjoying things and kind of checking out of the problem actually allows for the Aryan energy of inspiration to come through. Aries rules inspiration and passion. So I want to offer that right now, because I feel like there could be information revealed that puts you in a place of, and in that frustration, if you try to take action immediately, it's only going to lead to more frustration. So maybe it's okay to tuck into a little fun time. Maybe it's okay to take the kids out for a play date somewhere and do something fun. Maybe travel a little bit too. And if indeed there are mandates about the travel, remember your being energy about it, because there is always going to be the balancing energy of ease through disruption. And you may be just that energy that gets to implement that, and other people get the invitation to experience it. So as you're not focused on a problem and you really know you can't find the solution, so you focus on fun in the meantime, this could be very illuminating and culminate a cycle of arduous energy or feeling responsible of something. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This full moon is going to be in your 4th house of home. Let's go. There could be disruption around the home. And I want to offer this, Capricorn, because you've got Pluto in Capricorn and it's been affecting you for a long time. So being a little bit too rigid, I started this video talking about this full moon feels like it has a theme of, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Do I want to be heard? And if I want to be heard, how well do I listen? This might be right up your alley right now, because the knowing that you have can be very obvious, but allowing others their expression before you shut them down with structure. And for you, we have the White Witch. Be the light. Capricorn, see that owl, that owl's heart-shaped face? This full moon is going to offer you an opportunity to come from your heart and exercise your wisdom, as the world around you is very reactionary. And this is not a time to go to the lower energies of Capricorn, of what it can be, rigid, restricting, limiting, and depressing, but rather to be courageous in the Aryan energy during your home to start to implement a bigger picture. So if indeed things get fired up in the home and you find yourself in disruption with others around you, does it help you to go in and be right? Or does it help you to neutralize the energy by allowing another to express themselves. And then maybe you just even acknowledging the expression, even if you don't agree with it. There's something about this that's holding space for an illumination. The white witch represents the naive energy of the maiden, of the virgin. And I don't think that's about inexperience as much as it's about hope. It's about allowing for a faithful new beginning, that we all have this little person inside of us that believes in fairy tales and magic and bigger things. So as Capricorn rules structure, it rules, you're going through a lot, Capricorn. You've been going through a lot, and you're influencing a lot, and much more in a way now for you to take leadership in that courageous way to change structures that don't work. And that might be right in your home body right now. All right, let's go on to our Aquarius. Oh boy, a lot of stuff going on in your sign. Jupiter is going forward now. Saturn is moving forward in your sign. And this is going to happen in your third house of friends, of neighborhoods, of communications, of emails, of what you learn, what you speak, what you write, what you teach. That's what the third house naturally represents. So Aquarius, we're also going to see this natural crisis energy for everybody, this square between Pluto and Mars, and the trine between Mars and Jupiter, trying to soften our belief system. It's almost as if, this full moon is asking what direction are you going to put your energy in? Because Gemini naturally rules a third house, and that's the twins. So I think this is going to give you an opportunity to feel, I want to assert myself a little bit into the lane that works for me. And again, I want to take a little bit of a pause, because you're ruled by Uranus, and this may trigger an unexpected reaction where you want to explode. And you may want to explode at one of your friends, your siblings. The third house rules siblings. You may find yourself like, I can't do this anymore with you. You drive me crazy. But again, Aquarius rules innovation. And I feel like it's an opportunity to innovate this dynamic in the third house by showing up in a way that represents leadership. And it's by being aware of your energy, being aware of how you're showing up, and not really caring that much about how the other person shows up or the other dynamic shows up. And I want to say this too, because the third house rules roadways, sidewalks, escalators, anywhere that you're walking around in your everyday activities. So this could be something that happens with your siblings. It could be with a teammate. It could be with a schoolmate, a workmate. It could be just randomly driving down the street and feeling like, I can't take this traffic anymore, and boom. Don't engage in confrontation. Move away from it, because it's only the people perpetrating confrontation are going to be extremely unconscious right now. So Aquarius, we have the sage here, and I really think that's about being wise and devoted and committed to your wisdom. Because wisdom is going to be something that is garnished in a way that is so innovative. I literally saw William Shatner traversing out into space, because Aquarius rules space, and it rules innovation and technology and networks and a bigger picture of things. Naturally rules the 11th house. In this full moon, it's going to happen to you in your third house. So it's like taking all of this bigger picture energy, humanitarian energy, and putting it into your community. So as you can be aware of your own reaction, and it may happen internally first, and then decide, do I want to really detonate this? Because Pluto and Mars squaring may be taking no prisoners. May just say, you know what, I don't care anymore. I've had it up to here with this, and I'm done. But how you do that, how you make that transformation, is how you will process it. So if you do it in a way that you feel is constructive, you'll be able to move past it. But if you do it in a way that makes you feel like an idiot or an a-hole, then I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging for you to process it, because you're still going to want to implement this deeper truth, whatever that is, whatever that you know, I can't do this anymore energy is, you're going to want it, that's going to prevail. But if you show up in a way that you feel like you were too much, then you're going to want to apologize for your deeper truth, which is just going to start this weird thing all over again. So allow this full moon to give you the courage to either take a pause before you express yourself, or maybe even choose not to express yourself at all in that dynamic because the person can't hear you, period. Or give them an opportunity, because this is a time for you to display wisdom and be not devoted to wisdom of dispelling it to another person, but to be the experience of wisdom within your own self and to be proud of it, to pat yourself on the back. Maybe you've worked hard for it. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Pisces. This is happening in your second house. So this is all about, the second house naturally rules money. It's ruled by Taurus. It rules skills. It rules the voice. It rules possessions. It rules comfy things. So let's see what Spirit has to say for you as we walk through this transformational, courageous full moon, creating a bit of disruption. Dream and journey. Well, Pisces, you rule dreams and you rule interior journeys. So I really think that this full moon offers you an opportunity to not just go within from an isolated point of view, but to really look at your skills, to look at how you make your money, to look at your possessions and decide if they're lined up to your dreams. And then to sit and allow, I almost feel like I want to say to Pisces, listen to your own heartbeat within your body, because as you do that, this is the energy that's taking you to where you want to go. And I feel like this, whatever disruption, whatever, this lighting is driving me crazy, whatever disruption this full moon creates, because the Pluto Mars energy is not to be trifled with. It will either happen outside in the community, you'll read about it in the news, or it'll happen, you know, within your own environment. And this is really an opportunity to see yourself become the butterfly, because the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and it's a horrific transformation. And even as the butterfly breaks the cocoon, there's this period of having the wings dry. And those wings drying are you sinking into your dreams, to looking at a deeper dynamic of, why not me? Why not try? Why not get a no? At least a no is a no, or no is maybe. It's really, I feel like this is the yearnings of your heart. I would look at this card and I see all these opportunities when I imagine the different directions that I can go. And I feel like when you think about the dynamic of this full moon as an opposition to Mars in conjunction with the sun in Libra. So how can you take action on how you want to express yourself out in the world? Because that's what the sun is. So this is a very psychological full moon, excavating deeper truths of our wants and desires in various aspects of our lives. And for Pisces, I think it's really important for you, rather than just your little fish to swim away, to sort of allow them to swim together and spawn your dream. And not in a way of looking at how viable it is because you know what actions to take, but rather to allow the dream to illuminate itself, to allow your natural ruler, Neptune, to create this fantasy about that dream. And then your ancient ruler, Jupiter, which is in a harmonious trine aspect to Mars, the planet of action, will allow for inspired action as you sort of take this down to a very deep, heartfelt place. Okay. That's it for this full moon in Aries on October 20th, 2021. If you would like to book a reading with me, my information is below and I am available. There's a little bit of a waiting list right now, but not too bad. And I will be back soon with something. And at the very least, I'll be back with November's heavenly horoscopes. And then of course, the new moon on November 4th. See y'all later. Thanks for liking and subscribing and hitting that notification button, everybody. I appreciate it. Share the videos. See you soon.